What?
I swear.
Who does... Huh?
Who authorized this? Oh, wait, you and I talked about it a couple days ago.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
I want to start this podcast with a warm wish of a very happy birthday to our bestest friend, Amber Benson.
Happy birthday, Amber.
The delightful weirdo Amber Benson. And by the time this is up, it won't be her birthday anymore, but she can celebrate all year long as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some latitude you're giving her.
Yeah. Dal, I don't have a natural starting point for any specific topics, and I think you wanted to talk about sales and stuff this time.
I guess, yeah.
But I will have a couple of points to throw out here and there of things as I remember them.
Okay.
And I can't remember if we've ever talked about the sale shirt for this year.
I don't think we have, no.
Okay,
I mean,
so...
we haven't put out the flyers yet, and we haven't done the banners yet.
Right.
We started putting it in the email.
But yeah, we put it in the email. It's up on Facebook.
Okay.
The artwork this year was done by Anissa Espinoza, and we met her years ago at our Faith Aaron Hicks signing.
Yes.
And in fact, I even put this up on Facebook on hey, why did we choose Anissa? Like, here's her book. Here's when we met her.
Yeah.
There's all that kind of stuff. And the reason I'm bringing it up right now is because I was doing the preliminary Terminus research today, and I came up with something that I am very happy about, and I will tell you now.
Okay.
Traditionally, we do a cardinal red t-shirt on a 100% cotton shirt, a Gildan or a Fruit of the Loom 5.4 ounce shirt.
Okay.
And we were previously offering unisex or a women's cut. Now, the last time we tried to do this, the women's cut shirts are A, more expensive, B, they never have the same colors. They don't match exactly right.
They don't.
Like, do you remember that last year being a thing?
Yep.
So I previously said to you, hey, we're going to do away with the women's cut shirts and just do straight unisex.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit easier for us, and the shirts will match. And then I started looking into it, and because we're not doing the women's cut shirts, and we'll save a little bit of money on that, I decided to immediately take that savings and spend more than that
Smart.
on a different style shirt
Okay.
and a different color.
Okay.
Do you remember the blue shirts from last year?
I do.
They were a heather blue,
Yep.
and I loved it.
Yeah.
So going up to Gildan 64,000.
For people who don't know what heather means or have a visualization for it, a heather shirt is a little bit more distressed in the fabric.
Yeah.
It's not a flat color. It's got a little bit of gray or a little bit of white in it.
I mean, not as much as it may sound like it does.
Right. It just gives it a little bit less of a flat palette.
Yeah.
So that's what Patrick's talking about when he says a heather color.
So Gildan 64,000 is a 4.5 ounce shirt. Super soft.
Okay.
And they do a cherry red heather.
Okay.
And it looks great.
Great.
Very excited for that.
Sounds good. I'm into it.
To get that shirt is going to be more money per shirt, but not a terribly high amount of money.
Okay. Do you feel like it's a good investment?
I do.
Great.
And we'll still have the Challengers logo on the sleeve.
Perfect.
But you know what? Because I feel like I've done all this without, like, we're discussing it, but I didn't solicit your input ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm going to let you right now decide which arm you want the Challenger C on, left
Goes
or
on
right.
the left arm.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Writing that down.
Historically, I believe it goes on the left arm.
I think we've done it both ways.
I will double check my last year's shirts. I think I have one from last year. I believe it was on the left arm last year.
I think the Keep Reading Comic shirts were on the right.
Was it? Okay.
Not positive, though.
Okay.
But left is what you want?
Yeah.
Dow?
Yeah.
That's what you're getting.
Fantastic.
You're going to get that.
What a year.
So for those people who may be new to the T-shirts and the sale shirts and the sale in general, every year, February 7th through the 13th, we run a 25% off just about everything sale. And that just about doesn't include your hold merchandise, your pull books, your subscription service books.
And anything set aside before or during the sale.
Yeah, anything that's already on hold.
Yeah, everything is that's on the shelves, first come, first serve. You can't set its stuff aside before the sale or during the sale and still get the discount.
And if you happen to have something on hold while it's during the sale, you don't get the sale discount on it.
Right.
It doesn't count consignment items because that money is going to other people than us. And you know what I think we'll do this year, Dow?
Patrick?
I think we will do it on the back issues.
That sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, I think we'll be magnanimous and let people get a little extra money off the back issues.
Very nice.
Yeah, right?
They will get 50 cents off.
That's amazing.
That is pretty great.
Yeah. So that sale runs...
And it also does not include any product marked new this week.
Yes.
So anything in the new this week section or anything that has a sign on it saying new this week, that does not count towards the sale discount. That said, items that are in the new this week section for the first few days of the sale, but by the time the sale hits Wednesday, that stuff will become not new this week, and therefore it will be on sale.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
You get a chance. You get multiple chances at new this week stuff. Well,
like this year, the sale I believe is Sunday through Saturday.
It's Sunday through Saturday. Yes.
Yeah. So there will be a midpoint there where things that were excluded from the sale will then become part of the sale.
And if you spend over $100 after discount but before tax, that's very important, before tax,
yes,
you will earn one of these T-shirts that we are talking about.
Yes, for free.
Yes, you earn it. You
Yes.
get it, and you don't pay for it. Honestly, it's like getting an extra 10% off.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what it works out to.
In the form of a T-shirt.
math. Yeah.
A discount you can wear. We should mention that if you've not participated in the sale before and gotten a shirt, we produce the shirts to order after the sale to make sure everyone can get the size they want.
Yeah, that's because we didn't do that the first year, and that was a
Yeah.
huge mistake.
Well, because we like the idea of hey, you physically walk out with the shirt, here you go. But then, you'd get to day 4 and 5 of the sale, and people are like, do you have a medium? And we don't. And then we would have these extra, we have a bunch of double XLs that no one wants.
To this day, we still have a few shirts left over from the very first sale.
Yeah. So nowadays we take orders during the sale, we produce the shirts. Generally, they're available by the first week of March, although obviously with pandemics and stuff, I'm not making any guarantees in 2021. We notify people as soon as they arrive. Club members will get them set aside for them. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I should mention that the extra twist for this year is that we do have an online storefront, and that means that the sale...
Wait. The sale's not going to be available for online purchases too,
Patrick,
is it?
If you can believe it, we're going to make the sale available for people who cannot even physically come into Challengers Comics and Conversation.
What?
I swear. Who authorized this? Oh wait, you and I talked about it a couple days ago. So what we're going to be doing is offering the 25% off discount on everything in our online storefront, again excluding new this week items, for the duration of the sale. That said, it will run up to the end of the day on the 6th day of the sale, so that basically the website doesn't get an additional 7 hours of sales that the store doesn't get.
Yeah.
So it'll start at 11 a.m. on the 7th and run through midnight on the 12th. Again, 25% off everything in our online storefront except for new this week items. Consignment stuff is not on there. Back issues not on there.
So will there be how will people who take part in the sale online know they get a shirt?
So that's the thing. I have to figure out exactly how we're going to do the shirt. The long and short of it is that you will, if you spend more than $100 after discount before tax, you will have the option of purchasing for $8 shipping and $0 goods a shirt for the sale. Like I said before, we don't produce the shirts ahead of time. We produce them after the sale's over, so while we will ship your stuff out or make it ready for in-store pickup if you'd prefer that, the shirt will be a separate shipment down the line. Again, early March, something like that. So you're going to be paying nothing for the shirt, but you will pay an additional $8 to get the shirt shipped out down the line.
Will you create like an item in the store that's $8 shirt sales shirt?
I need
shipping?
to look into it and see if it's something I can make specifically available as a pop-up when you're checking out.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's... I've not really done that. So there's probably a way I can get it to work how I want, but it's a thing that I'll probably spend some hours in January figuring out exactly how to do that. Giving the discount is super easy. It's the other stuff that's kind of a little tricky, but we'll figure it out. So,
Yes, you will.
Yeah, the discount will apply for the storefront, the online storefront, for both USPS shipping and in-store pickup, and you can qualify for a free sale T-shirt that way as well.
Neat.
I think it's neat.
Wow, look at us finding more and more ways to lose money.
I guess, yeah. Well, we'll see.
Once you add, I'm not gonna say the full total, but once you add the slightly nicer shirt, the screen printing, the shoulder printing.
Are they going to bag them?
No, because that's an extra couple bucks per shirt.
Sure. Plus, didn't they not do it last time? What was the shirt that we ordered and we said bag them and they didn't bag them or charge us for bagging them?
Right. They didn't bag us, but they didn't charge us for bagging.
Right.
So I don't know. It depends on what you think is more valuable: the time wasted in packaging them up once we get in, or
I guess the thing is how many shirts we're doing.
Yeah.
Like that'll be a number where we'll have to figure out this number of shirts. Is it worth not having to fold these things when they come in because they're just bagged and ready to go, or is it so many shirts that we're like, I don't want to pay X amount of money per shirt if we're shipping out this many shirts.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I will mention that someone we know got a T-shirt folder for Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
But also, like, the bagged shirt is... It's just easier. You just slap a post-it around and you're done.
Because it's already folded. It's in a bag. It's got a little sticker on it saying, here's what size it is. You're ready to go.
I mean, there's all sorts of fun extras we could do. We could have a Challenger's logo label sewn into the shirts. Sewn onto the shirts. Sewn into the shirts.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Well, but I mean, like those are options that are available.
Sure. Yeah.
I already got 2 emails this week from our T-shirt guy being like, "Hey, it's a new year.
I saw
got
that
any
as
new
well.
shirts?" Yeah. So that's what made me go, "All right, fine. I'll start working on this just so they know we have something coming."
Right.
Because like last year, we did 2 stores worth of sale shirts. Mm-hmm. Then we did those masks, which we did not like.
Oh my god.
Then we did the Keep Reading Comics shirt.
That's true.
So we gave them more business last year than normal.
Yeah.
And here they are looking for scraps already again. I think it's hilarious. We're moving on from the sale, that one of our toy distributors is now offering a giant Transformers figure that they'd previously offered, and those orders all got canceled.
Yeah. We ordered that. It's a Titan class Scorponok from Transformers Earthrise. We ordered him in...
Which series Kamen Rider was he in?
He was in... Well, he's a Scorpion, so I guess he's probably in Kabuto. No, I'm thinking of
Oh, duh.
That figure in particular we ordered from our distributor in
February
of 2020.
Yeah.
It was around Toy Fair, I think. So either like January or February. It released to stores in the summer of 2020. Distribution's kind of iffy because, it's
pandemic.
One, it's a pandemic. 2, it's Hasbro. 3, it's a very large figure. The Titan class figure is their most expensive commercially released Hasbro Transformers figure. It's massive. They come in crates, basically. So we never got ours. We were told it was canceled in mid-December of 2020.
Yeah.
About 5 months after it had shipped everywhere else. To the point where me, who ordered one specifically from our distributor for me, then could not get it anyplace else because everyone else was sold out. You could only get it from people reselling it on eBay.
And you never got one ever.
The end.
Wait,
I got one for Christmas, which was great because then I didn't have to worry about trying to track one down. Ha ha! Hasbro announced that they would be reissuing Titan class Scorponok to a lot of their accounts, including our toy distributor, who offered us the ability to reorder one, shipping in May or June of 2021, which we declined to do, not only because I already have one, but because we did precisely this exactly when the orders opened in 2020, and that thing did not fill.
Yeah.
So it did not feel like rolling the dice yet again.
I not acknowledge it's not their fault.
It's
but
not.
It's still disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, with our Hasbro stuff, this is why we don't take pre-orders. Because we can never guarantee we're actually going to get it or when that is.
Yep.
At least in this instance, the only person that got burned was me. And it's not like I'm going to stop shopping at Challengers because of it. But yeah, things like card games and robot toys and Marvel Legends action figures, we do not take pre-orders for because there is no guarantee that even if we get our orders in, when the orders open, we're actually going to get what we ordered, when we expect to get it, in the quantities that we expect to get. Which means a lot of people are currently asking us about reserving or pre-ordering Pokemon cards, and the answer is no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the orders for those, not only did they close a while ago, the allocations have been pretty fierce with Pokemon product coming up.
Yep. And will be for a while.
Yeah.
A lot more people are hitting Pokemon cards for collectibles, so it's going to be pretty much a nightmare.
It is basically like speculation, but for the Pokemon industry, for the card game industry.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I assume that happens. We don't usually see it a lot with things like Magic cards. I mean, obviously there's some sets that are in demand or that people want, and we get allocated on that, but Pokemon cards, it's a whole different animal. Like, no pun
the thing
intended.
is, the people that are really into their specific level of fandom are smart enough to know these things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some Pokemon card game enthusiasts who shop with us who basically educate me on what is coming out and what looks like it will be most sought after.
Yep.
And that is the kind of fandom that I appreciate.
Sure.
Sometimes I feel it works against us where there's like people will ask us for these webcomics they love. Someone had asked us recently for the new John Allison book. Mm-hmm. It's not a book, it's an online comic only.
Great.
Like we can't get that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, there's a level of, and this is a clunky segue because I'm trying not to call anybody out, but I was having a discussion with people about Future State, and I think we'll merge into talking about Future State for a little bit.
Okay.
And about how much he was really enjoying most of the Future State books. Mm-hmm. And quick sidebar, I had seen a post about how it was selling, and it's selling great for everybody except us. And I will tell you that
sounds about right.
I had to do, I was doing FOCs today.
Okay, sure.
And it made me go look at
what we're selling.
Week. And we sold
week one of Future State.
Yeah, we've sold about half of any given title.
Okay. I'm okay with those numbers.
Yeah.
One of the concerns I had, and anytime we do these sort of special event books, like the two things that you're most terrified of are, did we not order enough? Because this thing is going to be huge, and I'm going to be fielding people asking about it for weeks, and I won't be able to fill any orders. Or did I order way too much and no one's going to care about this? Like, way more than your average launch of a book, these sort of short-term, line-wide events are a nightmare to order.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And DC made it returnable, which is great. But it's also, like, you don't want to be caught out for 3 months carrying all these books that you can't sell.
I'm pretty sure these returns are going to be full copy mail back to Lunar Returns.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it's what they're doing with, like, Rorschach and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which hits its returnability window for issue 1.
And who pays for that postage?
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think DC's going to pay for it? Jesus. They are not that company anymore. They haven't been that company for
when we had to
almost a year.
Mail back covers to Diamond, it wasn't that much money.
Yeah. But anyway, so luckily, like, I think ordering something and selling half of it in the first week and knowing that at worst the other half gets returnable, that's great. I mean, that's the ideal situation.
Well, what isn't ideal is that because of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the not the actual day, the holiday,
the Monday holiday,
we have to turn in our FOCs for next week 3 days early. Yep. Rather than turn them in Sunday, they're due Thursday.
Yep.
The books that we're FOCing are all the number 2 Future State books for the number 1s that come out this Wednesday.
Yep.
So
we will, if you wait until the absolute last minute, you will have not even 24 hours worth of sales data.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. And that was what people complained about when DC decided that they would move the FOC date back. Was that, oh, by the way, if there's ever a Monday holiday, you are going to be losing even more days of sales data before you can close your orders.
Yep.
And yeah, so this is the result.
And some of them were FOCing issue 3 of the number 1s that came out this week.
DC doesn't care about retailers. Unbelievably stole a story in
no.
2021. Who could have predicted this? We all thought it was going to turn around.
So my point is I did those FOCs as well, because why not?
Sure.
I'm not going to rush to do it Thursday.
Numbers aren't going to get better next week.
Yeah. So, yeah. Although I did, after I did it, I had a guy late in the day buy a bunch of this week's Future State books.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't think that sales are going to drop dead on those books, just because, it's Friday and this is what we sold. I think, especially for issue 1s, you're going to see people picking them up over the next few weeks. Not every book, certainly. I would assume that what we've sold on books like Superman of Metropolis and Flash are probably what we're going to sell for those books going forward.
Yeah.
But things like Next Batman and Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn, Swamp Thing, I think you'll still see sales on those for the next couple weeks.
So I was talking to a fellow retailer specifically about these books, and they had said how much they enjoyed Batman. And I said that I didn't. We've seen this dystopian future state society too many times before, but my biggest problem with the book is the story is, who is this new Batman?
Right.
And they're really leading you to think it's one person, yet we know who it actually is because DC told us.
Yeah, not just told us in the sense of like, hey, here's a secret about who the new Batman is.
They released it to the public.
They advertised it.
Yeah.
They said, this is his first appearance in this book from the 1970s. This is his deal.
Yeah. So
okay, great, thanks.
So, and I said that, and this retailer came back with, well, I don't know who it is, but I have my suspicions. And I thought...
Did you read issue 1?
I thought, man, you're bad at your job. DC publicly released this. You need to know this to sell this book. I mean, you don't need to sell it, but it definitely helps in it.
I guess.
And I know that you can't get every bit of information a publisher puts out, and I know that there's a million publishers with a million press releases and every kind of week.
Despite DC Comics unifying communications across all channels.
Yeah.
Even then.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's people that don't care or don't want to know.
Sure.
But I literally thought, I'm like, oh, you should know better.
Sure.
And I only say that. It's not like, oh, you're a bad retailer. It's like, oh, no, you're my friend. I want you to know better.
Sure.
But all I said was, well, good for you for not having it spoiled.
I guess, yeah.
And bad for you for not marking up the back issues you need to mark up.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, like, that sort of information is not as important for us, for our business, because we don't have back issues featuring the first appearance of that character.
Yeah.
There wasn't a thing where we had to rush to the boxes or rush to the online storefront to start changing prices before, people started hoarding them to flip online. Didn't have to worry about that. What we did have to worry about people hoarding was Star Wars High Republic #1.
Yeah, so I literally was going to...
There's a segue for it.
I was going to segue into it myself because there was a large online discussion about that book, but mainly about feeding speculators.
Sure.
And it's you're going to be surprised to know this. There's two very decisive camps about this. Yeah.
What a surprising year this is. Everything is a surprise to me.
There was one retailer, and I'm not saying their name because I forgot it,
Okay.
who said that they love this kind of book, that they ordered 600 copies of... They pre-sold 600 copies of all 3 covers. Like 600 of the main cover, 600 of...
We couldn't even get people to tell us they wanted it a week before the book came out.
Right. Well, further investigation, this is a deep discount online store.
Okay.
They give their people 35% off.
Sure. Okay.
And somebody else had said, like, well, then you're losing, you're losing 35%. You're doing all this extra work and shipping. Yeah, but they make it up and marking up all the variants and other things they do in exclusive covers and whatnot.
Sure. I mean, if you've got a 1 in 25 variant for Star Wars High Republic #1, it's probably going to be going for at least $25. If you ordered 600 copies, you have a lot of 1 in 25 variants. And I think there's at least a 1 in 50 variant as well. We didn't qualify for it, but I mean, someone probably...
I'm sure stores did their own covers as well.
I don't know if they did. I mean, I'm sure somebody somewhere did, but it didn't seem like a thing that people were... bending over backwards to try and do exclusive High Republic covers. Again, like, everyone was selling out. Like, we heard from people who were hitting multiple stores because that's what happens with speculators now, that everybody in Chicago was selling out. And that means that it's not like we guessed wrong on it in order to low. That means that there was no demand until there was too much demand, which is pretty standard for speculator comics. Again, 2021, not that surprising.
Yeah, somebody on this same message board had pointed out, like, how do you get people to subscribe to that? Like, the real speculators aren't people who have pulls lists where they let you know in advance. No. They don't want the book until it's out.
Right, and on top of that, like, in general with speculator stuff, some of it is organic demand, and that was the fault of, like, despite Lucasfilm spending over a year saying, hey, we're doing High Republic, they dropped a video or something on Monday, and that was when a ton of people had their first exposure to the idea that High Republic was coming out as a comic this week.
Yeah.
So suddenly people were like, oh, I heard there was this High Republic comic. And, we can send out emails to our subscribers, but we even had people who are subscribed to Star Wars books telling us 2 days before the book came out, hey, by the way, can I get that High Republic? And it's like, we sent you an email 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That said, hey, High Republic is coming out. Do you want it? Here's what the cover looks like. Actually, we couldn't because the cover images were broken then. I remember that part.
Okay.
But they got a description of the book, and this went out to every single Star Wars subscriber. And then we still had those same people 2 days before the book came out saying, oh, I want to be down for that.
Yeah, we had a large number of club members at it before it came out or day of.
Yeah.
And that's always disheartening
It's
because of how much work you do ahead of time to get people to let them know what books are and what...
We had one person specifically who was furious that he was not automatically down for it since he gets all the Star Wars books. And it's like, hey, you got an email on Tuesday before the book came out saying you were not getting Star Wars High Republic #1. And you got an email on Friday before the book came out saying you were not getting Star Wars High Republic #1. We sent you an email 2 months ago saying Star Wars High Republic is coming out. Please let us know if you want it.
And also, there is no all Star Wars category. It doesn't work like that. Your orders have to be tied to a product that exists.
Yeah.
And for the majority of people that say they want everything Star Wars...
Nobody does.
They want everything Star Wars until they don't.
Yeah.
Until there's a movie adaptation. Well, I don't want this one.
Yeah.
Then you don't want all Star Wars.
I want all Star Wars, but I don't want the one based on a theme park attraction. Like, this is why we don't do that. And we tell people when they want to add all whatever, like, hey, we will add you for everything that's currently listed, but as far as future titles go, you need to check the emails every month that we send out.
There was one time
that's how you monitor your subscriptions.
There's one time when someone's like, hey, I want to make sure I'm down for all blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what it was, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, sometimes we forget that stuff. You need to let us know. And they came back with, oh, well, last time there was a new series, you guys just copied it over. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, we do that when we know to.
Yeah,
but
sometimes we do. And for something like Star Wars High Republic, which that's not the conversation you had with the person.
Right.
But Star Wars High Republic was one where it's like, this is a completely new cast of characters by a completely different creative team, set in a completely different era of the franchise. Like, we do not assume that everyone who reads a Darth Vader comic or reads a Princess Leia comic or reads a Bounty Hunters comic is going to want the one that happens 100 whatever years before then. Like, that's why we tell people...
What is the time period for this?
I don't remember.
But it's young Yoda, so is it before...
I don't think he's that young. Yeah, it's a brand new era that they're exploring in the comics and fiction and whatever else. But, so that's the subscriber stuff, and that's its own headache. But like Patrick was saying, the larger problem is that the people who are hoarding all the copies and buying them all up that you could never predict are because they're speculators. And not only would they not pre-order anything because they don't want to buy a book until they know it's hot, and they won't know it's hot until a few days before the book comes out. They're never going to come back for issue 2. They don't care about that. They're never going to read this thing.
That was one of the things retailers said was like, well, I I got 20 copies of this book, and now I'm super excited that I have 18 new... Like, I can get 18 new subscribers, and I wanted to say...
You're not going to.
Yeah, they don't want number 2.
Oh my god, no. Only if it's like another brand new character.
Look, I honestly believe, like, half of these people are legitimate Star Wars fans who want the Star Wars product and didn't know it existed.
But again, it's the same way for a lot of people who, buy licensed comics who are not subscribers at stores. It's a novelty. Like, they want to read the first Star Wars High Republic comic. They don't want to read the Star Wars High Republic comic in perpetuity. They just want to read the first one. Well, they want to see what it's like. Who are the characters? Is this fun?
Who are the characters?
There's almost no level of quality at which they'd be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be getting these forever now. Like, that so rarely happens with those books.
Another huge speculator book, apparently, is Dark Knight's Death Metal #7, but only
the A cover?
The A cover.
Jesus.
And I was trying to figure out, well, is this...
I mean, we've had that happen the last 4 issues of that book.
Did you read this?
I did.
Who's this?
That's Wonder Woman.
Okay. Because somebody had said, yeah, I really want it because it has the first appearance of the new Wonder Woman on the cover.
It doesn't.
I'm like, I don't think it does.
That's not what's on the cover.
Doesn't.
That is Wonder Woman and a spoiler. Yeah, despite...
Stephanie Brown?
Yeah. Despite people caring about variant covers, the one book it seems like they do not want variant covers for is Dark Knight's Death Metal. That is the one book that we carry where when we saw it in the A cover, they go, oh, you sold out of Death Metal? No, we've got these 3 covers. Oh, you don't have the regular cover?
Yeah. Happens a lot.
We don't. And that's like, it's literally the one book. If we have just the variant for anything else, people are like, oh, you still have the variant? But Death Metal is the one where it's like, oh, you don't have the regular one? Well, I don't get it. And the variant covers are by some of the biggest variant cover artists in the industry.
And it's one thing if you don't want it because traditionally DC variant covers are $1 more, but not for books like this.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not for their event books.
I think Death Metal...
they're regular price.
Yeah.
There's their cover price.
Because the cover stock for the regular cover is a non-normal one. It's a special kind of cover stock.
So this person was looking for the main cover.
I don't get it.
And I'm like, yeah, we just have the variants. He's like, yeah, I saw. Can you believe other store in our neighborhood is charging X double digits for the A cover? I'm like, yeah, of course I can believe that. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, we have the variants? He's like, I still want to look around for the main one.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm like,
cool.
Well, all right.
You're enabling this.
Yeah.
That's why they do that. Because there are people out there who...
Well, no, enabling that would be buying it from them for that price.
He may yet.
Well, I told him,
that person may yet do that.
If he can't find the A cover, since he knows we have the others, he'll come back and get one.
Great.
And I made sure, I'm like, just give us a call. We'll put one aside.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the industry. I mean, as long as people value covers more than stories, that's going to keep happening.
We said this way too many times, and like as a comic fan myself, I almost always get the A cover, just because.
Sure.
If there is a cover like, oh, I really want the B cover, and they're out of it, I would still just get the A cover, just because I want the insides more than the outside.
All I think about when I think about variant covers and people needing a specific cover is, you can look at all these covers online.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
There's no secret cover that you can't look at a picture of. And that's all it is, just a picture.
Glorious pictures, though.
I guess.
I mean, I'm dumb enough to buy facsimile editions or True Believer editions of books I already have.
Yes, but the facsimile editions are easily accessible.
Yeah. Right.
If you needed to find a Cap 117, I mean, it's like a full day
I
project.
Right now, I could. You mean the actual one?
Yeah, the one that you already own that's not the facsimile edition.
But if I want to find the facsimile edition right this second, I could close my eyes and still manage to get to it in seconds.
Yes. I mean, that's why I picked that one in particular.
Yeah, I figured as much.
I can see it from here.
Yep. It's the first Falcon. It's so good.
Sure.
It's not. It's kind of terrible. You saw that picture of the Red Skull?
I did. It's not good.
It looked like he was made out of a bubble wand.
Yeah, they haven't really done reprints of books that mean a lot to me. As facsimile editions, but if they did, I'm sure I would pick one up.
Oh, they did True Believers of, like, didn't they do a Power Pack #1 True Believers?
They did, yeah, we sold it.
But you didn't buy it?
No, because a True Believers is not the same thing as a facsimile edition, I guess.
And exactly what is a True Believer?
A True Believer is a $1 Justin Bieber comic.
I thought it was a crime-fighting beaver.
Oh, maybe that too.
Maybe that too.
I think there's litigation to decide which is which.
I see. Are you ready to talk about sales?
We can, sure.
I figured I would broach it so you could get your phone and pull it up because we can't use mine.
Statistics.
You just leave your. You should have a second phone that just lives in cushions.
Why?
Because that's where you leave them all.
I left it on a book down here.
Well, I just talk about previous times you leave it in cushions.
Sometimes, not always.
Car seats.
Do you want to do comics first? Or you want to do graphic novels first?
Just graphic novels. I don't know if we have enough time for comics, and that's usually
we'll
not
do
as
comics
exciting.
Next time for a little bit. Graphic novel sales for Challengers Comics in 2020. I should mention that these are sales only in our Bucktown location. Whatever sales data we had from the brief window that River North was a thing doesn't exist anymore in any form that would be valuable. So this is all just what we sold online and in our Bucktown storefront for the year 2020.
Here's a question,
Patrick,
about sales.
go on.
Several restock products we received this week of DC Comics have new prices.
Okay.
Higher prices.
Sure.
Sometimes up to $10 higher.
Sure.
Thus, new barcodes. Should those be brand new items? Or should we alter the barcode, put in an alias, and keep tracking the sales on those books?
If it's just the exact same cover and contents and everything, but the price has changed, and we don't have ones from the previous price still in stock, I would just change the price on the item, add an alias, and just keep going.
Okay, that's what I did.
The times that I would keep both is when, like, if we have the $14.99 copy still in stock, and then we get the $16.99 in of a new printing, I would keep both until we sell out of the $14.99 one, and then just let that one go.
Or if, like, this is a Black Label book now, or something.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. If the price is different on two different editions and we still have both, it would become a separate item. If we cannot get the old copies anymore and we don't have any in stock, then I would just change the price.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Omnibus. The soft cover jumped from $29.99 to $39.99.
Oof.
Yeah.
That greedy Alan Moore.
Something else jumped from like $14.99 to $16.99.
Okay.
Get Hero raised in price.
Okay.
Yeah, that was annoying to be scanning things like, these don't scan. Oh, great.
Yep. And the way that you scan stuff in through RMH is it's so hard to get feedback. Like, you could be scanning stuff and thinking it's going, and then you get halfway through and you realize, oh no, it stopped 4 books ago. Now I've got to figure out which ones scanned and which ones didn't, and then, it's a big pain.
I need to keep remembering immediately to move the little, the box that you're scanning into off of the so you can see the quantity field and the title field.
Yeah. Okay, so graphic novel sales 2020. We'll start with just going over the top 10, and then we'll start to drill a little bit more into specific categories.
Do you want to put a caveat that these sales numbers are considerably lower than they would have been previous years because we were closed for 2+ months?
One of the reasons we started doing these yearly totals is because Brian Hibbs from Comics Experience in California would do them, and we always found them valuable to see what stores were selling.
Brian Hibbs? You mean previous Contest of Challengers guest? And future guest?
Gasp.
What?
A week off for Dal.
Meh.
So he had noted that because of the pandemic and because of the shutdowns and lockdowns and things, the overall sales for like the top of the list graphic novels was significantly lower, and it was the same thing for us. I think our number one graphic novel sold about half what a number one graphic novel from the year before would have sold.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that our sales for that category were, down massively. Although, over the year we saw a drop in pretty much every category because there were like 2 months where we were barely making ends meet and we were doing 75% less business. Like, of course. So it's one of the reasons why in years past we've maybe done little parts on the podcast where we talk about how different sales categories did in relation to the year before. I don't think that would be really instructive to do for 2020.
Let me just recap it. They're all down.
They're all down. There's ones where we could, if I felt like it, I could maybe try and figure out second half of one year versus second half of another. But even then, like, there were months where it took a while for things to kind of get back up to speed from publishers. So in general, we're pretty much going to avoid talking about specific percentages or sales figures or whatnot.
Dal, I'm sorry. There's one category that actually skyrocketed.
What's that?
Face masks.
That is true.
Yeah. The face mask numbers is up literally 100%.
Wow. Hard to believe we weren't selling that many face masks in 2019.
I know.
So here are the top 10 graphic novels for Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, Illinois. Number 1 for the year, Firepower by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee, Volume 1.
Yes, Andrew. Firepower came out this year.
It did, yeah. For those who don't remember, Firepower was meant to come out alongside Free Comic Book Day.
Yep.
So the graphic novel was supposed to come out a little bit before then, and then the first issue would come out like a week or two later. So that stores would have the graphic novel, that's essentially the 0 issue for the book, still in stock on their shelves when people were picking up issue 1. That didn't happen this year, so as a result, the sort of like the tie-in effect didn't really happen. At least for us, we didn't have a lot of people that we were giving the first issue to, and then they came back and went, I didn't know there was a graphic novel. Usually what happened is people bought the graphic novel, and then we went, hey, here's issue 1 of the comic. This thing on its own merits sold great.
Yeah.
It's Chris Samnee's art alone drove, I would say, 90% of the sales. And the other 10% were people who were like, I get everything Kirkman does. Most of the sales were because we could go, look at this gorgeous artwork. Look at this insane, like, martial arts story. Which then, surprise, with issue 1 becomes like a domestic drama that also has martial arts in it. Which for me was a bit of a bummer. I like Firepower still because, again, Samnee's art is so good. But that shift from like, oh man, this isn't like anything I've ever seen Kirkman do before, to issue 1. Oh, it's a standard Robert Kirkman story about a guy who has a nice family and a nice house, and it's all very domestic. Not my favorite. But it's
I just can't believe that Owen's dad was a supervillain all along.
Sold great. Number 2 for our year, Pulp, the first of the Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips graphic novels for the year.
Yeah.
Pulp sold amazingly well.
First of the original graphic novel for the year.
True. They had other graphic novels, and I think I might talk about them at some point on these lists. Yeah, Pulp sold phenomenally. We have a very big core Brubaker Phillips, I will get whatever they do group.
Rightfully so.
They are the most dependable of our creator groups, outside of, I would say, Brian K. Vaughan, but I don't know if he even counts anymore.
Can I just say I was pitching Reckless to someone, and I know I'm jumping the gun on that one.
Sure.
And they're like, I don't know. I don't know if I like everything they've done. Like, is it at all like Kill or Be Killed? And I go, oh, no. It's actually, like, there's no supernatural elements. Good, because that's my least favorite book of theirs. And part of me died inside.
Yeah, it's one of our most successful.
It was my favorite.
To this day. But yeah, the good thing about this original graphic novel is that it made us more money quickly than if they had serialized it. We would have probably sold maybe the same amount of copies per issue across the whole run, but we got it all in one lump sum, which was nice. We didn't have to worry about people dropping off midway through the arc or forgetting to come in or having 2 or 3 issues on hold that they haven't paid for. This was just, you come in, you buy Pulp, it's done. Like, the ease of that for a year where things were not very dependable was very, very nice. Number 3 for our top 10 graphic novels for the year, Come Home Indio.
Yes, Come Home Indio by Chicago's own Jim Terry, a book that we've raved about on this podcast many times, and we had to go back and reorder it, I think, twice.
Yeah, and as I think we originally mentioned when we were first talking about Come Home Indio, a book we could not get through Diamond Comic distributors.
Yeah.
Had to get it through alternate vendors, and that's a graphic novel, and it is our number 3 graphic novel a year, and we could not source it from Diamond.
And while it was, like, none of these are tied to events.
No.
Traditionally, we've got a ringer in there because, we did a signing for that book.
Yeah, like one of our top 3 books for last year was a Lucy book.
Yeah.
Because we had a Lucy event. So it's like we sold a bunch that night.
So while this wasn't tied to an event, I can't imagine us having sold more had we tied it to an event.
Yeah, maybe, but it's... So some of it was people who, because Jim's a local creator, there are a lot of local creators who are like, I want to get Jim's book, and I want to get it from Challengers. So we make that happen. We order a bunch of copies, and we let them know when it comes in. But we had people who had just heard about the book, and were like, are you going to be carrying it? And then other people who picked it up from us because they heard us promoting it, and because we had it in stock, and they checked it out. So while, a chunk of it was essentially pre-sold, there was a lot of it that was just organic sales.
And good news, we still have it.
We do. We still do. Number 4 for the year. One of my favorite graphic novels for the year. No slight against the other ones. Number 4, Dracula Motherfucker.
I think that isn't the title.
I'm not going to pronounce asterisks.
You're not going to put the Grawlix in it?
Nope. Alex DeCampi and Erica Henderson did an amazing job on a really good, shorter graphic novel. the artwork is
Would
is
you call it
outstanding.
graphic novella?
I don't think I would, because it's a little bit longer than what I would call a novella. But if someone wanted to call it that, I don't think I'd argue it. It's sold great for us. I think it's beautiful. Definitely was a fun one to have around Halloween, but like a lot of horror comics, good every point in the year. Definitely one that not only was, a fun kind of Tarantino style 70s throwback thing, also has a lot to say about like the Me Too movement and a lot of stuff that's going on as far as reckonings with serial abusers and terrible men. Just a really good book, really fantastically done book. Number 6 for the year, one that usually charts a little higher, and this is maybe a result of a lack of follow-up work. It's Saga Volume 1. We're not going to see a lot of different Brian K. Vaughan looks in this year, I think.
Yeah, I still think it's pretty amazing that it's this high on
Sure.
a year that didn't have any new Saga.
Oh, man, I will tell you this. I don't think that this book would have charted as high without the
Pandemic?
pandemic. There were a lot of people that were looking for, like, gaps in their knowledge base.
Or deep dive, like, what can I binge that'll take me a while?
Yeah, and so we had people that were buying up, all 9 volumes of Saga or the Compendium or all 3 hardcovers. So yeah, in general, Saga sold really well despite there not being any new Saga stuff and no new Saga stuff on the horizon. And that's on top of Paper Girls finishing, and they're not really being, like Barrier came out in 2019 in print. There's not like another We Stand on Guard or Private Eye. Like there's more digital stuff that he's doing, I think, maybe. Is there another digital thing that I don't even remember?
Tuesday. Oh, Friday. No, Friday.
No, I thought that was Brubaker.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just because it's on
Panel Syndicate.
Panel Syndicate.
Yeah.
I got confused.
So Brian K. Vaughan's kind of got nothing right now, and again, there's nothing on the horizon. Like we're ordering through March of 2021, and there is not a Brian K. Vaughan book to look forward to. So that's the thing where I'm.
Do you think they'll wait until San Diego this year to announce it?
Yeah,
That's a joke, because I don't think there'll be a San
I
Diego.
don't think so either. I told you a few days ago that I was looking at a list of our top subscriptions, and I think our number 2 most subscribed to book is still Saga. But I don't know how many of those people are going to come in for Saga, what is it, 55?
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that audience is still there. I would say a lot. Like, it's still going to do really well. But, I mean...
Well, let me ask
like,
you this,
what is
then.
Bitch Planet 11 ever going to sell?
So, do you know roughly in your head what we sold of Saga 54?
I can put it in a ballpark, sure.
When 55 is solicited, what do you order?
I would hope at the very least Image offers returnability for 55.
Okay.
Because that is an insane length of time between issues, and stores are guessing at that point.
But
what
let's
that audience
say
looks
not.
like. I would order a little lower, probably. Because we've never seen much past, like, the first dozen issues.
Yeah.
We didn't really see much in the way of people reading the comics and then moving to the graphic novels or vice versa.
And
People got one format and they stuck with it. So, like, I don't think that the people who have caught up to date are suddenly going to be like, well, I got to get the new issues. They'll just buy Volume 10 when it comes out.
And what if Image does it, and I really hope they don't, as like another 25-cent issue?
I hope not. Yeah, that would be a huge bummer.
Hey, you haven't had Saga money in 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you make any money in this one either.
Yeah, exactly. We'll give you another print that no one cares about. Yeah, I would expect them to not do that, because it would feel like a pretty bad deal for retailers. And what we found with the 25-cent issue that we ordered a lot extra, because it was 25 cents and it's Saga, nobody cared.
Nope.
It was just, oh, cool. We just made a 12th of what we would normally make for that book. Great, thanks. Yeah.
You know, that only worked out for me because somehow I missed that issue and didn't realize it until months later.
And luckily we had a box of them.
So we had a box of them, yep. Otherwise, because there's no way we could get it.
Number 7 for the year of our top 10 graphic novels, which almost overtook Saga, to let you know kind of what the new hotness is as far as comics and graphic novels and Image go. It's Monstrous.
Yeah.
Monstrous Volume 1. I should caution, though, that the sales for the Monstrous comic are still terrible. It sells almost nothing. I would say it sells a pretty small fraction of what the graphic novels sell for the year.
It sells not quite 20% of what Saga sells.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. For whatever reason, for as many people are into the monstrous graphic novels, they have zero interest of reading the monthly comic. And, like, that's a book that we vacillate between caring for the shelf and not caring for the shelf. Because the people who are still reading the monstrous comic at whatever number they're on, they're either subscribed to it or they're not interested. Like, we don't have casual people randomly picking up an issue of Monstrous.
What was the name of the TV miniseries? Talk Stories?
Talk Stories.
We had to reorder that.
We did, because we had somebody who had asked us... we had some non-subscribers who asked us for those. So that's something. I don't know if that's going to translate to the next issue of the book. Maybe. But Monstrous Volume 1 sold great. The Monstrous books are selling great. They're ones that we have to stock, not quite on a level that we stock the Saga graphic novels, but we have to stock a bunch of copies of each volume because they sell so fast. And that's one that is very easy for people to pick up and read. They love the art, they love the story, they love the world. It's definitely a pretty addictive graphic novel for people. Number 8, Patrick already mentioned this one, Reckless, which was the second original graphic novel this year by the team of Brubaker and Phillips.
And when did that get released?
That was released, I think, 2 weeks before the end of the year.
2 weeks before the end of the year.
Something like that.
And it still cracks the top 10.
Yeah.
And
because, again, like, this is something where Brubaker and Phillips have that audience, and there are weekly customers. Like, this isn't people who only get Brubaker and Phillips. They get Brubaker and Phillips and a ton of other stuff. So when a new Brubaker Phillips book comes out, they're buying it week 1.
Yeah.
So we could sell a tremendous number of copies in just 7 or 10 days.
I mean, there's a good chance this would have made it to number 1 if it was released even 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, because it will keep selling. In a way that Pulp, I don't want to say that audience is exhausted, but we hit pretty much everyone that's going to be picking up Pulp beyond, an additional 6 or 7 people a year probably for the rest of time.
But Reckless, the first of a new graphic novel series, the first time they've ever done a good person as a main character.
An actual heroic protagonist.
Yeah.
Number 9 for the year, another Brian K. Vaughan book, Paper Girls Volume 1. Paper Girls still sells great, but never as great as Saga. That's just its legacy now. Its
TV show is in production now in or around Chicago, and we know someone who is on the set.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I assume that the book will sell way better once the TV series comes out. It'll find a new audience.
That's not true. I mean, working for...
On the crew.
Yeah.
Number 10 for the year, Gideon Falls Volume 1, which is a really great horror series that just wrapped up by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino.
What are they doing?
2 issues back on that one, by the way.
You are personally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. What are they doing for issue 27?
What are they doing?
I mean...
It just came out.
Right. But...
It was triple-sized.
So 3 issues.
Yeah.
The last trade paperback was up through number 26.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder then.
So, is that it? You just have to buy number 27?
No, they'll do a graphic novel. That's ridiculous. Because that thing doesn't even have a spine on it.
Right. So you do a graphic novel of 1 issue?
You can do other stuff.
But then you're just doing that other stuff.
Marvel has done collections that are literally 2 issues.
I know, but this is like it's so weird to me. It's so weird. Like, oh, what if you buy it and you're like, hey, you read and you're like, it's over? What is all this?
Fables did it best. That's the best end to a series that had a graphic novel audience and a comics audience, where they put the 150th issue as volume 22.
Yep.
So if you were buying just a single comics, cool, issue 150 is this oversized celebration of the whole series. If you just bought the graphic novels, it says 22 on the spine. Put it on your bookshelf.
Yep.
And they came out simultaneously for both groups. So there wasn't this sense of like, oh, if you were reading the graphic novels, well, you won't get that story for another 6 months. They just took a big gap between 149 and 150 and went, here you go. That series did it best. So that's our top 10 graphic novels for the year. You can go to our website, challengerscomics.com. On the front page, you'll see a listing for the top 100, what do I call this? Top graphic novel sales for 2020. That's on the front page, and it'll stay there for at least another week from when we recorded this. So you should be able to find it pretty simple. Otherwise, it's in the news tab. If you go to our menu bar, you can also find the top comics. What is this? Top comic sales for 2020. You'll also find on the front page and under the news tab. That'll have the top 100 listed. We're going to drill down a little more into some other stuff. One of the things we do for graphic novels is we have genre coding.
Yeah, we have genre racking, genre coding.
We group our graphic novels not alphabetically by title or by publisher the way a lot of stores do. We do it by genre. So superhero graphic novels are one section. Sci-fi fantasy is another. Manga, which isn't technically a genre, but when we tried to do manga not as its own category, it confused every manga buyer, so we just gave in. All ages stuff goes under the sidekicks genre. Horror, crime mystery, so on.
The only one that is not quite the way we'd like it to be would be action and adventure have to get rolled into drama because there's just not enough pure action books where that is its main genre.
Yeah, drama ends up being pretty much a catch-all category for a lot of different kinds of books. Like, we have a lot of nonfiction stuff and instructional stuff, non-instructional maybe, but journalist stuff that ends up being in drama because it's just like there's not enough of that to make its own category.
And as a caveat, there are so many books that are genre-defying, you have to pick one.
Yeah. That's the thing that anytime we would tell people that we do genre stuff, like, people always try and, like, gotcha us with, like, okay, but where do you put whatever? And it's like, we just decide someplace.
Yeah.
You know, Hellboy, where does Hellboy go? Hellboy is always the genre edge case because it's like, well, is it fantasy? Is it horror? Is it action adventure? And it's like, we put it in horror. Yeah. You could put it anywhere. We put it in horror. There you go. You could even put it in superhero. That wouldn't be a problem for me either.
And there's things that we've moved, like Turtles used to be under
sci-fi fantasy.
Sci-fi fantasy, and then we moved it to superheroes.
Yeah, and then we put like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers under superheroes because they're basically superheroes. And all that stuff is, you just make a decision, and eventually people figure it out or they don't. And we get asked about every book as it is. People don't know where to find Batman. So it's like, you will get questions. Having questions does not mean you failed in your organization. There will be questions. So looking at how different categories did, I'm going to go over what percentage of our graphic novel category each genre was, and then how it reflected the year prior. So that doesn't matter. Like, sales numbers don't matter, right?
But percentages are
how much of the
good indication.
The pie of graphic novels each genre was this year, and if that pie piece got bigger or smaller relative to the rest of the pie. So superheroes are our biggest category for genres. It is 31.4% of all graphic novels sold this year. It actually got smaller. It was 33% of all graphic novels sold the year before. And I should mention again, as maybe another little nugget of information, this is for every graphic novel we sold for the year. Not our top 10, not our top 100. Every graphic novel goes into this percentage. Second biggest category, sci-fi fantasy. 19% of all graphic novels sold this year and last year.
I mean, to be fair, superheroes, we have
the most space.
6 or 7? 6 shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi fantasy is 3.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, if you doubled the amount of space sci-fi fantasy got, and if you assume that each bookshelf is a percentage sold, and if you expanded the amount of bookshelves, the amount of sales would go up. Sci-fi fantasy, at half the size of superhero, is selling more than half of what superhero sells.
Yeah.
So it's doing better per bookshelf. And that's a statistic we'll maybe get into as we go on. Our third biggest category, sidekicks, which is our all ages material. It's all the stuff in the all ages room. 14.5% of our graphic novels sold for the year. Last year, or 2019, it was 15%. So that became a little bit less important to us. Manga, our number 4 category, 11% of all graphic novels sold, up from 8% the year before. It was our biggest gain in the graphic novel category. Manga this year blew up for us in a way that is looking at these numbers and going, oh, manga at 2 bookshelves is selling almost double what drama sells at 2 bookshelves. We should have way more space for manga and way less space for drama. So that'll be a thing that we probably look to do in 2021 is reallocate.
I mean, we did already talk about how we would move manga around.
Post-sale, we're going to look at giving manga a little bit more space for itself because the manga section fills up pretty fast because of how much stuff comes out. But that stuff turns really fast and continuously through the year. Our 5th biggest category, drama, 6.5% of all graphic novels sold, down from 8% in 2019. Horror, 6.9%, basically the same. Crime mystery, 4%, basically the same. Humor, 3%, the same. Discount graphic novels, 2.2%, pretty much the same. And art books, 1.2% of all graphic novels sold, and that pretty much stayed the same.
It's so weird to me how
the entire bottom half basically just stayed the same.
How they stay the same.
Yeah. And again, like
they could, it's a blank palette. It could be anything.
Yeah. But like it's frustrating sometimes because stuff like again, drama is the thing where I look at it and I'm like, that's the one that's getting too much space. And some of that's just because, like, it needs it. There's so many books, but, like, okay, none of those sell. So that's the thing that in 2021, not only do we have to reallocate that space and remainder some of those books, we got to take a much harder look at ordering stuff for the drama category because people are not responding to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes in there that just never turns, no one cares about, and it just takes up space. So we will have to be a lot more brutal with that category in 2021. Unfortunately, I wish we didn't, but sales are sales. Looking at each category, we have on the same page for the top graphic novel sales for 2020, we broke down the top 10 for each category. I'm not going to go over all of them because most of them are not that interesting. I will mention that for crime mystery, the top 2 books were Pulp and Reckless. No surprise because they were in our top 10 for the year.
Yep.
So that's the top 2 books in one category by one creative team. Crime mystery, in essence, is owned by Brubaker and Phillips. They also chart the Cruel Summer hardcover and the Bad Weekend hardcover in the top 10 for crime mystery. Yeah, they are synonymous with crime mystery in comics. Period. Drama, our top 3: Come Home Indio, Are You Listening, and Slaughterhouse 5. Are You Listening is a little surprised to see it chart that high because it did not come out in 2020. I don't think. Pretty sure that was a 2019 graphic novel.
Yeah. But
it just sold great. Everything else is stuff that sold well, but maybe not as well as we would have thought. I always thought that Fire Never Goes Out, that Noelle Stevenson book, should have done way better than it did. But it just never seemed to click with people, or the people who were interested in it did not go to a comic shop to buy it, which is maybe the problem. Horror graphic novels are top 3. Dracula Motherfucker, Gideon Falls 1, and Gideon Falls number 3, which is so weird.
So weird. 3 didn't come out in that year.
No. Gideon Falls 2 charts at number 6 behind Infidel and Ice Cream Man Volume 1. Humor graphic novels, not a lot in that category that was brand new or really exciting. Go to Sleep, I Miss You by Lucy Knisley charts at number 1. Strange Planet at number 2, and then Adventure Zone 3 at number 3. Beyond that, it's Snot Girl, the Mega Hex books, Giant Days, more Adventure Zone, so on. Manga, again, our biggest category, gain for the year. My Hero Academia Volume 1 at number 1. That was our number 11 best-selling graphic novel for the year. My Hero Academia is nuts. I mean, especially the last 3 months, I don't know what's going on, but we literally cannot keep those volumes in stock, and we can't even source them from multiple vendors. Everyone's backordered. Nobody has them. You can't get Volume 1 from, like, anybody. It sucks. And yeah, they're all selling. Even the spin-offs that we were sitting on for a while, people are suddenly buying, like, Vigilantes. Like, great. Uzumaki at number 2, and My Hero Academia Volume 2 at number 3. Ramina came in at number 4 for our top-selling manga for the year, and that book, much like Reckless, just came out. Yeah,
just came out.
We had to order a ton from our secondary vendor because Diamond was out of stock on it basically immediately. Like, within 3 days of that book coming out, it was backordered.
Is such a weird pull because there's a lot of Junji Ito fans, but they never pre-order the book.
Mm-hmm.
And half of them work for us.
That's true. The weirdest thing about Junji Ito stuff is that, I mean, you take Junji Ito out, nearly everything we sell is like the hot, like, not all ages manga, but like the teen-oriented manga and stuff. And then Junji Ito, which is like the weird mature readers horror stuff. Or maybe not mature readers, I don't know.
I mean, it's horror, so yeah. No, it's all mature readers.
We have younger readers buying Junji Ito stuff. Their parents are like, she loves it. Like, okay, great. Sci-fi fantasy, the top books aren't really that interesting because they're all in our top 10 for the year. But I will mention that in our top 10 graphic novels, 3 of them are Saga. That's 1, 2, and 9. Old Guard made the list because of the movie coming out. A ton of people bought Old Guard Volume 1 when it was available. For newer books, the only one that really came in our top 10 for sci-fi fantasy was Undiscovered Country Volume 1. Okay. Dive Volume 1's also on the list, but that was a book that came out back in 2019. Yeah, that category is kind of choked by the stalwarts. Sandman, Monstrous, Saga, Paper Girls. That's just that category. They'll sell forever. Sidekicks. Our number 1 Sidekicks all-ages book for the year, Diana, Princess of the Amazons from DC's Younger Readers line. One of the few bright spots for DC in 2020 was their kids' readers line. The young adult line hasn't really done a lot for us outside of Raven and Beast Boy. And that's, kind of the sole exception. The other stuff does okay. I mean, we'll sell a couple, 3 copies, but the kids stuff just sells and sells.
I mean, there's going to have to be a really quick point of let's not carry these anymore. Let's not restock these.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's going to be books where it's like, oh, it took us 8 months to sell that young adults superhero book. Let's just count our blessings and not reorder it. Number 2, all ages book for the year was DC Superheroes Wonder Woman Little Golden Book. And number 3 for the year was both an amazing sales success and one of my biggest frustrations, Avatar: The Last Airbender Omnibus, The Promise. Dark Horse, woefully unprepared, either because of COVID or just because of how Dark Horse publishes books, for the massive interest in the continuing adventures of the cast of Avatar: The Last Airbender in comics. Everybody was watching those cartoons on Netflix, and we could not get the books from anybody. Like, we would get whatever we could get from whatever vendor had it in stock, sell out, and then wait weeks to get them back in stock. There's still volumes of the omnibuses that we can't get from anyone. They're all back ordered.
Yeah.
And that's at the same time where all the single volumes were taken out of print because they were doing the omnibuses. But then it was like, cool, it's going to be 4 months before the omnibus comes out, and I can't get any of these single volumes. Ton of sales left on the table by Dark Horse not having copies of those books in the pipeline. It was our number 3 all ages book for the year. It legitimately would have made our top 10 graphic novels full stop and number 1 in all ages if copies would have been available, but they weren't. They were not reliably available. We just did a reorder from Diamond, who had copies of Volume 1 Omnibus, The Promise, in stock, and we ordered like literally a dozen copies because it's like, it could take us 2 months to sell a dozen copies. I don't want to not have this book. I don't want to risk us selling out in 2 weeks and then waiting 2 months to get more, because that's what we were doing for a lot of 2020. Beyond that, Dogman, a lot of Miles Morales stuff, and then superhero stuff. Top 3 books for the year: Firepower by Kirkman and Somni. Number 2, House of X Powers of 10 hardcover.
Nice.
That's a $60-something book, I think.
And came out the year before.
Yeah, it came out at the end of very end of 2019.
Very end, yeah.
Right before Christmas. And probably made our list then, too. And then number 3, Immortal Hulk Volume 1, which was like the one Marvel superhero book that if people are like, I'm not reading Marvel stuff, we would go Immortal Hulk. One of the most dependable books Marvel is currently publishing.
It's one of those books that we still have on the front table, even though it's so...
And they're on volume 8 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That and Infidel are books that are just still up there because it's a good go-to. It's an easy recommendation because they're so good.
Yeah. So that's our top graphic novel sales for the year. Again, you can find those on challengerscomics.com. You can read the full list and dig into it, see if anything looks interesting to you or if there's stuff that jumps out. And then we'll briefly touch on the comics next time, but the comics are usually a weirder one because it clusters a lot more. Like, without spoiling anything, most of the Marvel stuff is like, hey, X-Men sold really well. Hey, Ten of Swords sold really well. Like, that's... hey, Alex Ross variants added to sales a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard to draw much, like, analysis out of that because it's like, well, Ten of Swords probably is not going to come out again in 2021. They will absolutely do another X-Men event in the end of the year. That's going to be every year from now on. But it's not.
Did you hear about the new X title?
I did. Good and bad on that.
Yeah.
You hear so Patrick's referring to Way of X.
Way of X,
which is the new Nightcrawler headed kind of a look into the spiritual side of the mutants, what their theology looks like, what their philosophy looks like. Cy Spurrier's writing it, which is amazing. I love Cy Spurrier, and I love seeing him on an X-Men book. Art's by Bob Quinn.
Yeah.
Do you remember who Bob Quinn is?
Oh, yeah. He did Captain America.
He did Captain America so badly I stopped reading it.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. Real give and take with that.
I don't like the logo.
Yeah, it's not great.
I just don't think the word of should be as big as Way and X.
Sure.
Like, I was trying to figure out, like, oh, is this supposed to be an acronym? No? Like,
nope.
Are you supposed to read W...
Wax.
O-X? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
But yeah, I think it'll be a book that I'm interested to see what they do with it and how they turn that kind of more internal style story into something that plays as an X-Men comic book. I love the ideas behind the X-Men stuff, but you do need, if you're going to do a book about like religion and stuff, you got to figure out an angle where it's external a little bit more. And I think Cy Spurrier is that guy. I've liked almost everything I've read of his, and he's a guy that always marries really strong ideas and themes to propulsive storytelling. So I think he'll figure it out. I wish the art was something I was excited about, though.
And covers by Camo.
Yeah, covers by Camo. At least the first one by Camo.
So I found out about this book because I heard something else in the comics industry, and I went to the Beat to see if they had more information on this, and they didn't. And that's when I saw the Way of X article.
Okay.
Steve Lytle passed away.
I didn't hear that. Oh,
Yeah.
the Legion artist, Steve Lytle.
Yeah.
One of my faves. Did some very good stuff in the Baxter era with Paul Levitz.
It was actually our good friend and club member Johnny Williams who posted about it on the Challengers Facebook page.
Does not surprise me that Johnny Williams was the first person to tell us about Steve Lytle passing away.
And that's what made me go look for it.
That is sad news for 2021.
Yep. That's all I know. It wasn't an article that he linked to. He just said
Sure.
that he had a photo of
I
Steve
assume in the
Lytle.
next few days there'll be more coverage.
Yeah.
I know Johnny's in like a Facebook group with like a bunch of Legion creators and stuff, so it's
Yep.
probably something where people who are more friendly with Steve in a non-professional capacity had heard about it and then passed it along.
Let's see. Had to yell at multiple people for not wearing masks since we recorded last. Had to throw one guy out of the store. And we really have to crack down on
Noses.
noses, but also distance between people.
Yeah, we do.
I did say it, like voiced it a few times today. Like, hey, would you mind 6
Can we
feet
keep
back?
a bigger space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gina's real good at keeping count of how many people are in the store.
Great.
So much so that she'll say, "We're at 7." I'm like, 7 of what? Oh, people in the store. Sorry. Yeah. So that's good. That's good. And what is also good is our thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom 15, which will appear after the credits to this podcast episode, and those credits come now. Thanks for listening.
And keep supporting Kota Ibushi.
I guess I mean not credits so much as, well, the outro. That's what I mean.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.
Okada.
No, I just hope that
Like, I think that's too
Naito
obvious.
gets the surgery he needs.
I was
for
looking
time off
I
for
was
his
looking
knees.
at Kota Ibushi stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah.
And they had a T-shirt for Wrestling Kingdom, but it was from last year.
Okay.
The two headline matches were
Naito versus...
Naito versus Jay White
Yeah.
and Okada versus Ibushi.
Yeah.
So it's like, not those three guys. I
Exactly.
want to see him not wrestle
Somebody
those
different.
three guys.
Somebody different. That's why I said Kenta.
Yeah.
That's why I said Ospreay. That's why I said El Fantasma.
Sure, those are good ones.
Clearly, I was repeating my choices because we are recording, and I didn't want people to miss out.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
I hope people watch Wrestling Kingdom 15 then.
what is the biggest story of the week
By far.
outside of comics?
Internationally.
Internationally,
Wrestling Kingdom 15.
Wrestle Kingdom 15.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah.
I really liked being able to watch it all in one day and like during the day. So we could skip specific matches that were just like, nah, I'm not too into this, and then finish it at a reasonable hour. That was a very fun experience.
Yeah.
And the
Something to do
Kota
for the
Ibushi
future.
matches did not disappoint.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. Not my favorite wrestler working in wrestling these days. That's Rey Fenix. But Kota's definitely in the top 5. Always puts on a
Who's your
great
favorite
match.
New Japan wrestler?
Favorite New Japan wrestler is Kota Ibushi, yeah.
Who's your favorite non-Kota Ibushi New Japan wrestler?
Oh man. There's a bunch of guys kind of like at the second tier. I mean, I like Naito, I like Okada, I like Takahashi. Tanahashi?
You like Tanahashi?
Tanahashi. Hiromu Tanahashi is who I like. Not, and I do like Hiroshi Takahashi, but not as much.
You like Daryl Moore?
I do. I like El Fantasmo. I like Will Ospreay. I don't like Will Ospreay as much now that he's a heavyweight. I like Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, there's a bunch of guys where it's like Shingo Takagi. I really like. Those are all guys where it's like they're good. They'll put on good matches, but like it's very. It doesn't have a lot of certainty to it.
He was moving his hands up and down a little
to
bit.
figure out what word I wanted to best use to describe what I think of matches featuring the people who are not Kota Ibushi. They can be good, and then there's sometimes where they're just against somebody where it's like, oh, their styles don't mesh or whatever. As opposed to the guys who are like my favorite wrestlers where they can get good matches out of literally anyone. You, Patrick, specifically said that you thought Kota Ibushi could get a good match out of Kenta, which I think is some of the highest praise you can offer someone wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Wow.
I'm being rude.
You really hate Kenta.
I'm being rude to Kenta. I don't think Kenta's that bad. It's just Kenta's a guy that when he's been healthy and I've seen him wrestle, it has not been that great. And he's rarely healthy in wrestling.
I feel like you haven't been thinking clearly this entire conversation.
Why is that?
You have yet to mention Toriano.
I do like Toriano.
Of course you do. He's great.
Of course I do. He's the king of pro wrestling. He's good.
He's earned that title repeatedly.
Yes.
He's earned the title and kept it.
Yes. Indisputable. He's got a trophy to prove it.
And now I feel like I want ramen for some reason.
Wait,
is it ramen or curry?
Curry. He's a curry guy.
Okay.
I mean, you can want ramen too.
I ruined that. I ruined that joke. For non-patrons, I'm going to edit all this and put it at the end of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So the patrons had to sit through that.
That's their reward for giving us money?
Well, I mean, they wanted to know our thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom 15. That's my first Wrestle Kingdom was 9.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. In this, not in the recording studio, of course.
No.
But, in Chicago.
Sure.
I've never been to one live, though. Maybe one year.
Yeah, potentially 2022. That could be your year for going to see Wrestling Kingdom.